Welcome to Your Worth Knowing. I'm on a mission to help you liberate yourself from toxic beliefs and external expectations. I want you to shake off that mean inner voice that tells you you're not enough, not successful enough, not productive enough, not lovable enough. Because the truth is that you're not broken. You've been conditioned to play small and not believe in yourself, to not believe you're worthy. I'm here to tell you that you don't have to anymore. Now that we've concluded that the rapture did not occur last week on September 23rd, I do want to bring in some positivity to the situation. Even though Jesus did not return, I have. Ha ha ha. Welcome back, rocks. Why, thank you. I really appreciate all the love. I'm not sure how that joke will land, but at least I tried. And, in the back of my mind, I know I'm not a comedian, so I have an excuse if it really, really sucks. But yeah, while I was planning to take a few more weeks, maybe a few more months to settle into my new office and figure out the direction of the podcast and the YouTube channel, I thought to myself, hey, why not? Why not just jump back in right now? I mean, I have something to say, that's related to the rapture, which was supposed to happen last week. So it's recent news and I need to be able to kind of connect some thoughts to it. And I also had this joke lined up and I'm like, you know what, I'll just go for it. And I do think it's apt to get back into it right now because truthfully, if we leave it up to us, we'll never be ready. We'll just keep postponing things. Pun intended. Okay, enough of these stupid, silly rapture jokes. I want to discuss feeling or looking stupid, which I might be right now. But we should all learn to accept and deal with it because I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news, especially with what's coming out of the administration in the US, but a lot of people are having a hard time looking stupid these days and dealing with that in a rational and healthy way. Instead, they just double down on their stupidity. And so I'm here to tell you that please, for the love of the rapture that did not happen, please don't go down that path, okay? Listen, it's human nature to avoid feeling or looking stupid at all costs. It's kind of just something that we try to avoid as much as we possibly can. It's partially tied to feeling rejected, right? And studies have shown that as silly human beings, we tend to double down on something instead of admitting we were wrong about it, or worse, that we were willingly misled. It's called belief perseverance bias, also known as the backfire effect. Because God forbid we'd admit we went a tad too far with conspiracy theories for a while. The ego has certainly caused enough damage throughout the centuries. I am honestly so sick of it. Banish the ego, okay? And the world will immediately, instantaneously become a better place. Now, this is essentially me telling you, for the love of all that's good, to get comfortable with feeling and looking stupid because it's momentarily. It's a lapse in judgment or understanding or whatever the case may be. It happens to every single person that's been born ever, regardless of context, because the alternative of not being comfortable with that moment is avoiding that feeling and just pushing it to the side and being like, this never happened. I'm going to ignore this. It's going to just get swept under the rug, right? That, in fact, will actually damage your image, reputation, and self-esteem so much more than if you were to just say, hey, that was really stupid of me. You're much better off saying you were wrong than ignoring the amount of evidence presented in front of you. And we see this happening every single day now. And we're like, why can't you just admit that what you said was wrong, was ignorant, was misinformation? It's pretty simple. Just own up to it. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up and why I'm showing up with this particular episode as my first coming back episode is because, as I said, last week, TikTok was abuzz with this whole rapture thing. There are several individuals on the app claiming that this was it. The rapture would happen September 23rd or 24th. Mark your last day on the calendar. Now you can imagine how the majority reacted to this news because yes, this group that believes in the rapture is a minority group. And so, they were met with pity, disbelief, secondhand embarrassment, mockery, unfortunately. And I couldn't stop watching as video after video popped up on my feed, just telling me how they were preparing for this day and how they felt for us, how they felt pity for those who would be left behind. Some even left instructions on their kitchen tables for those who'd eventually take over their home once they would be reunited and, levitated up into the heavens. And I mean, if you really think about it, they left us instructions on how to behave and which teachings to follow so that we too would be saved and levitated into the sky. Like, you say that out loud and it's like, are these people okay? Sure, I guess the gesture is nice in a way, but you can imagine the comments under these videos. We'll talk on the 25th. See you then. I can't believe her vote has the same weight as mine does. Cults are scary. This is going to be my 7th rapture. Girl, get off your phone. This is religious psychosis. Now, I personally tend to believe that any one of us can get sucked into a particular conspiracy theory, niche belief, or cult, which is why I will not go down the route of mocking or dismissing anyone who does fall victim to these movements. There's a reason why throughout the ages people have fallen into such traps, and it has nothing to do necessarily with intellect or education. It's probably one of the following reasons. Identity. They feel like they possess something others don't, some kind of knowledge, and it makes them feel special to have this, exclusive look into something that's about to happen. They feel like maybe they have an advantage over us. The second reason is community. So they feel in communion with others who share those same beliefs, and they enjoy being part of that community, and they keep reinforcing their confirmation bias. And the third one is upbringing, right? So they were brought up to believe something from a young age, and they never quite got to questioning it. So with all of that being said, right now it's October 1st, and it's safe to say that no human bodies have been levitated up to the heavens, none that I have seen. And so you would think that any of these individuals that made these videos last week, pre-rapture day, would feel a little bit silly about their overreaction and prediction. But no, none of them has made follow-up videos to express remorse or admit that, this pastor in South Africa got it wrong, or he didn't do his calculations right, or, maybe he was just a scam artist. I don't know. In fact, chances are high that they've doubled down on their belief that the rapture is imminent, that it's about to come. They're probably going to tell you that they got the wrong date, at least 75 times by now. But any justification is better than risking outright humiliation. Indeed, none of them woke up on September 24th or 25th and denounced everything and anything that, has to do with the idea of there being a date for the rapture, or walking away from the religious sect that promotes it, right? But as outsiders, that's kind of what we were expecting. Some sort of admittance, like, hey, guys, I think I was wrong about it, and I feel so stupid right now. Usually, this is my go-to when I have a stupid moment or I'm just ignorant about something and I just blurt out nonsense. I usually go with, damn, I can't believe I fell for that. I feel so stupid right now. I literally make a point to voice out loud to someone else how stupid I feel. And the reason why is because I personally have much more respect for someone who owns up to being sucked into a conspiracy theory or prediction in such a way, rather than taking the course of action that they've all taken, which is silence, just ignoring the elephant in the room. In fact, it makes them look more foolish than if they were to make a whole video admitting that maybe they were misled and that truthfully, no one knows when or if Jesus will descend, right? And while this is really an extreme example, I wanted to share with you because the lesson applies the same for any other situation where you end up feeling stupid or looking stupid for that matter. It happens to all of us. A partner points out something hurtful that you said, and instead of owning it, you explain, defend, and escalate. You might share a fact at work that turns out to be false. I've done that plenty of times. And instead of correcting yourself, you breeze past it and hope that no one notices it or remembers what you said. You go all in on a political stance, then ignore every piece of evidence that challenges it, which is what we see happening right now in the US. And so it's how we react when we find out that, oopsie, we were wrong. That's what matters. Doubling down makes you look worse than admitting the error ever would. And not just worse from an external perspective, but internally also. Shame can build up in that way because you're not addressing the fact that, hey, you messed up and you didn't correct yourself. That's not taking accountability for your actions. And listen, we're all doing this life for the first time. So of course we're going to make silly mistakes and believe silly things along the way until we're corrected. So please do yourself a favor and worry more about the consequences of ignoring and doubling down on those said stupid moments than the actual stupid moments themselves. Okay? You'll be much better off in the long run, I guess, until the rapture comes, right? Of course, I had to end it with a joke, wannabe joke. And so I want to end this episode with asking you, what's a belief that you used to double down on until you finally admitted that you were wrong, whether to yourself or to someone else publicly? Because sometimes it's enough to admit it to ourselves, to correct ourselves and be like, you know what, I got owned, I got fooled. I'm going to pay better attention next time. But at least you're admitting it to yourself, which is a huge step, a bigger step than what a lot of people are doing right now, which is basically shoving their heads in the sand and ignoring every piece of information or evidence that's floating around. And that's detrimental to their well-being, their mental health, but also to the collective at large, because now we're all living in different realities. People are not facing the truth that maybe, just maybe, what they've been told and what they've believed all along was wrong. And they can't deal with that. And the cognitive dissonance is only going to get bigger and bigger the more we ignore the truth, the evidence, the more we tell ourselves that, you know what, I need to double down on my belief, even though evidence is presented that I'm wrong and it makes me look stupid, and I'm just not going to admit it. I'm going to ignore it and hope and just pray for the best, you know? And I think that that's where things are going wrong these days. So I urge you, if you can, to start practicing being okay and being comfortable with saying out loud that, you know what, that was a very foolish thing to say, foolish thing to do. And I admit to that. And then move on. It's fine. No one's going to remember it. But they will remember, and you will remember the fact that you were silent and you ignored the fact that you did a stupid thing. So I'll leave it at that. All right, that was the episode for today. Thank you for rejoining and re-listening. And hopefully I can be back on track in the next few weeks to churn out more episodes, more content, and to give you a more high-level overview of the direction that I'm taking with the podcast as well as with the YouTube channel, because a lot has changed in the past couple of years. I've changed, you've changed, and we just need to make sure that we are realigned with each other, that this is the right content for you, and that the message resonates, because ultimately that's my mission, to make sure that it reaches the right people. So I'm going to lay that all out for you, what my mission is moving forward and how you might fit into it. All right, I'll see you next week.